All right, kiddos, good morning and welcome to your second to last Wednesday of 2020. Can you guys believe that next week is going to be your last week of school in 2020? And then it'll be 2021. Crazy, but welcome. We're going to make the most of it. We're going to have a good time. And we are going to start out by doing that by considering our emotional ranges. We've been talking about how our brain can experience powerful emotions. Today, we're going to look at a scale of emotions. So when our emotions start and feel small, and then they grow and they grow and they grow until they're finally so big that we don't know what to do. So we're going to look today at what's called zones of regulation. If you've been a student at Indian Creek in the past, this should be a familiar concept to you. Because we have taught it before, but it's understanding that there are different ranges of emotions, different levels, and they can grow and they can shrink. And then that changes the way that we tend to respond. So to help us get ready for that today, we are going to watch a short video about why we lose control of our emotions. Inside of this video, you will notice that there is someone that's going to be drawing. And the things that they are going to be drawing are going to match what is being described or explained about emotions. This is going to give you a lot of information about the structure of your brain and what happens inside of different parts of your brains when we have emotional responses. So go ahead and listen to this and think. And when you are done, we will discuss and talk about what it is that we learned inside of some breakout rooms, and fingers crossed that they work better than they did yesterday. Here we go.
Kids want to know. Imagine that you really want to play soccer at lunchtime, but when the bell rings, you can't find your shoes. When you finally get out to the field, the teams have been picked and it's too late for you to play. Maybe you got so mad that this small problem became a big problem in an instant. When we lose control of our emotions like this, we can call it flipping your lid, kind of like the way a pot might do if it was too full and too hot. A little while later, after you've cooled down, you might even feel sad when you realize that when you had a big reaction to a little problem, you could have hurt someone's feelings. What if I told you that this happens to everyone? Your parents, friends, teachers, and everyone else you know can flip their lid and lose control of their emotions sometimes. We all need to work on managing our feelings. Have you ever wondered why we can have such a hard time keeping our emotions under control? It can be really tough being a kid these days. There's just so much going on every day, at home, at school, even after school. Sometimes it's hard to keep a lid on things, and we act in ways that are not kind or caring, even though we don't mean to be hurtful. There are so many situations that we encounter every day that can cause our emotions to bubble up. Maybe you felt upset or frustrated when you were working on a problem or activity at school and just can't seem to get it right. Maybe something unexpected or embarrassing happened to you in front of your friends. Maybe you had something important to say but didn't get a chance to say it. These and many, many more situations can cause both kids and adults to flip their lids. So why does this even happen? Well, it has to do with the way our amazing human brains work to help keep us safe. This is your brain, the part of your body that controls everything you do. Let's take a closer look at the parts of the brain and how they can work together to help us keep a lid on things. The brain is a pretty complicated organ, so we're going to use our hand to help us visualize what's happening up there. Let's imagine that our brain has an upstairs and a downstairs. Here, where our thumb is called the midbrain. This is where our emotions and memories are created and stored. Below that is your brainstem. The brainstem controls the things our bodies do that we don't have to think about, like breathing. It also controls our automatic reactions to certain situations. For example, if you touch a cup with hot tea in it and it's too hot, your downstairs brain feels the pain and will pull your hand away to stop you from getting burnt. It's an automatic reaction. You don't have to stop and think about what to do. Or imagine you're out on a hike and a bear wanders onto the path. Your brain doesn't stop and think, what kind of bear is it? Is it friendly? Your downstairs brain notices that you feel scared. It takes charge and in a split second decides whether or not you should fight, fly, another word for run away, or freeze. Because of the way our downstairs brain reacts to these situations, we can think of it as our emotional brain because it reacts instantly without needing to think things through. It's always ready to take charge in any situation to help keep you safe. So, if this is our downstairs brain, then this part where the back of our hand and fingers are can be seen as our upstairs brain. It's called the cerebral cortex. This part of our brain helps us think logically, act with kindness, and think about how others might be feeling. It's also the problem-solving part of our brain. It helps us to think of possible solutions to a problem and decide which one is best. The upstairs brain is our thinking brain. Your upstairs and downstairs brain don't work alone. Your brain is set up so that the upstairs and downstairs brain can communicate with itself. It sends messages from section to section all the time about what our bodies feel and need. Let's take a closer look at our brain fist. Where our fingertips are is the logic and reasoning part of the brain that springs into action when we have a problem to solve, and usually it does a great job of doing it. But sometimes it can have a hard time solving a problem if the emotional brain and thinking brain can't communicate well enough. This can happen if your emotions get too overwhelming and your downstairs brain decides that this situation might be dangerous, even if it isn't really. And we all know what happens when our downstairs brain thinks you're in danger. It triggers our fight, flight, or freeze reflex. Our emotions start to bubble up, and then suddenly everything boils over. We flip our lids. This can look like a scary, angry reaction, or it might be crying or running away from a problem. Now that we've flipped our lids, see how far away our fingertips are from the midbrain? When our lids are flipped, our upstairs and downstairs brain can't talk to each other. Our emotions have become too strong and we can't think clearly and can't solve the problem in a peaceful way. So what can we do to stop us from flipping our lid? Well, it all starts with realizing that we're about to flip our lid and then turning down the heat so it doesn't happen. Remember that soccer game we talked about at the beginning of the video and you were really upset and didn't get to play? Maybe you felt your tummy rumble or you felt your face getting hot? Did your heart start to pound, and did you feel your hands start to clench? Were you frustrated, disappointed, and angry? These types of strong feelings are all indicators that you might be close to flipping your lid. If you feel this start to happen, it's a good idea to walk away, take some deep breaths, and look for an adult to talk to before you flip your lid. It might be a parent, grandparent, coach, teacher, or another trusted adult nearby. They can help you with strategies to solve the problem once you've calmed down enough for your upstairs brain to be ready to do some peaceful problem solving. If you do flip your lid, those same trusted adults can offer you some time and space to cool down before you start to problem solve together. Once your upstairs brain is back in charge, you can share your story and get some help. Using I statements can help you to tell an adult what you need. I need a hug. I need you to listen to what I have to say. I need another chance. I need some alone time. I need a walk. I need you to see that I can do well. Learning more about the brain and how it works can really help us to understand our emotions and to be peaceful problem solvers. When we listen to our bodies and our brains, we can turn the challenges of being a kid into opportunities to learn and grow. Thanks for watching! If you're interested in learning more about the brain,
All right. So we are getting ready to go into some breakout rooms where I would like for you to share 2 things that you learned about your brain and your emotions. 2 things that you learned about your brain and your emotions. And I figured out a new trick for breakout rooms. So watch that. You were asked to share 2 things that you learned about the brain. 2 things that you learned about the brain or emotions. What's something that you learned? What's something that you learned? Steve Rogers, share with us one thing that you learned about the brain or emotions.
I learned a bit of the brain. I learned a bit of the parts of the brain, but I've learned more parts of the brain.
Okay, so you knew some parts before and you added more inside of there. Yeah, that gives us power when we understand how our brain is structured and we know what parts are being controlled. It helps us be able to have more self-control when we understand what's happening. Great. Let's see, who else? Jalen, share with us one thing that you learned about the brain.
The brain was kind of making noise. Well, Well, it's kind of like a thunder and stuff. It was when people are mad, their brain makes thunder.
Yeah, our heads can sound like really crazy and loud and busy. So when I get in that state, I often tell my husband I can't think because I feel like my head just has like static. Like when you're on a radio station and it makes white noise, or you guys don't even have white noise on your televisions, but if you used to turn the TV and there wasn't a channel there, it would go, it would make that noise. That's how my head feels when I'm having those emotional responses. Yeah. All right, what else did we learn about the brain? What's something that you learned? Alicia, share with us one thing you learned about the brain.
I learned that it can control your emotions.
Yeah, we do. We have control over them. And in order to get control, we have to first make sure that we understand them, that we are able to think about what is happening so that we can think clearly. And like our second steps lesson shared with us, using those stop signals and then yet naming our emotions can help us know what's going on. Great. Okay, kiddos. Today, for some practice, William says his grandma's TV has done that. Awesome. Today, for practice, you are going to be looking at a sort. And on Seesaw, you have an activity called Zones of Regulation, Sorting Words. We've watched the video on how the brain works, and we have discussed it. You are getting ready to click Add Response, and there's a video that we're going to watch describing the zones of regulation. You are going to sort feeling words into each zone and tap the check. So here's what that means. When I add response, I'm going to see that there are 4 zones. There's the blue zone, the green zone, the yellow zone, and the red zone. And that'll make more sense after we watch this video. You are going to take these words from up here and you are going to decide if that is a blue, green, yellow, or red response. So there's a lot of words up here for you to sort about how we react and how we feel, and you're going to decide which zone that response or emotion belongs in, okay? I will send you into breakout rooms again to complete this task. But first, in order for you to know what a blue, green, yellow, or red zone is, you've got to learn what they are. So here is what our zones are. Oops, there we go.
We can use zones of color to help us. We all have feelings like happy, worried, sad, frustrated, irritated, angry, silly, annoyed, tired or bored, sick, or even terrified. Our feelings can be like the weather. They are always changing, usually not stuck in one way. For example, just like the weather, when it is sunny out, we might feel happy, focused, and ready to learn. Or calm, like a beautiful spring morning. The weather changes, things might seem like they are moving quickly and we can't sit still. We might feel silly. Yet again, the weather is changing, and so can our feelings. Clouds may show up, and we begin to feel sad or disappointed about something. Or have you ever felt like the rain is just pouring down because you have so much sadness? The weather can change again and fog might roll in. This might be where you're confused, bored, or sleepy. And then, just like that, a storm comes in. And this is when you might feel triggered. When we feel triggered, it is hard to make good choices. Just like this little girl put an umbrella over her head to protect herself from the rain, we can learn to use tools to regulate ourselves so the sunshine can come out again. First, we need to learn about the different feelings we have. Sometimes putting colors to our feelings helps us know what is going on. Then we may be able to learn to connect to the words to help ourselves and others know what is going on. Green, yellow, blue, and red are the colors that can help us. When you're in the green zone, you might feel happy, okay, calm, or you might feel focused and ready to learn. In the yellow zone, you might feel wiggly, silly, have some loss of control. You might be very excited, worried, or feel frustrated. In the blue zone, you might feel sad, moving slowly. You might be tired or bored, or you might be feeling sick. In the red zone, you might feel mad or angry. You might feel like yelling or hitting. You might be elated or out of control, or you might be terrified. It is natural to have all these feelings. Remember, they change throughout the day. Feelings are neither bad or good. They are what is going on with us. It is important that you don't ignore or close the blinds on how you are feeling. Rather, open the blinds and be with what is going on with you. By being true to yourself, you will know how you are feeling and what is going on, which will help you learn to regulate and get back to the green zone quicker. Next up, body signals that can help us know what we are feeling.
Alrighty, we will take a look at body signals at another time. So this works kind of like a stoplight. In the green zone, you're great. Life's awesome. You're good to go. I feel awesome. I feel funny. I feel happy. You're awesome. Okay, you're set. In the yellow zone, that's a warning sign. Uh-oh, I'm starting to lose control, right? My thinking part of my brain is starting to get a little bit wiggly from my feelings, okay? The red zone, we have lost control. That is where we have flipped our lids, okay? The blue zone is more just mild. I don't feel super awesome, but I don't feel super unregulated yet. I'm just kind of chill. So I'm right where I need to be. So this part is a stoplight. Good to go. Uh-oh. Whoa. And this is just kind of, I'm all right. Nothing crazy going on. Feel good. Okay. So inside of your breakout room, you are going to sort how you are feeling with these responses. So for example, if I am hitting someone, that is a really big loss of control, right? I'm not thinking clearly if I have gotten to the point that I am causing harm on someone else. So I'm going to put that in the red zone, okay? If I'm moving slowly, right? I'm not like at my normal pace, that might be blue. You could maybe argue yellow, but I'm going to go ahead and put it in blue because I'm not like, it's not a big problem, but it's not awesome either. So it's just kind of like, you're a little bit slower today. So you are going to grab these inside of your breakout room and you are going to sort them into the area that you feel they belong. If there are some that you feel could go either way, like I shared, moving slowly could, go ahead and have that conversation with your breakout room. Say, hey, where do you think moving slowly would go? Why do you think that? And talk about it, okay? Are there questions over this expectation before I put you into those breakout rooms? Terrence.
What is yellow again?
Yellow is kind of like a warning sign, like, ooh, are they might be kind of angry. So if someone is in a yellow zone, I might be seeing their face like this, right? They're not doing anything that's gonna like cause major tension or trouble, but when you look at them, you can tell like, ooh, something's not right. You're not feeling right. Or maybe they're kind of like, right? They're not all out crying yet, but they're kind of showing signs. So yellow is like a warning, like, ooh, I don't think they're okay. Does that make sense, or is that still confusing?
Still confusing.
Okay, so think of it this way. Green, everything's great. I'm good to go, right? In yellow, that's where, have you ever looked at someone and you're like, are you okay? Because you don't know if they're okay or not. That's yellow. So it's when like they're not showing that they're not okay, but you can also tell that they're not normal, right? So maybe someone that's usually like telling jokes and laughing is quiet that day. That would be yellow because they're not being their normal self, but they haven't flipped their lid either. Does that make more sense? Okay, so it's kind of that like warning sign. All right. I am getting ready to send you into your breakout rooms where you will complete this sort. I'm going to give you about 5 minutes inside of that breakout room. Okay, 5 minutes to complete that sort. All righty, and here you go.
Me too.
Good. Welcome back, kiddos. You have just completed or started a sort of the zones of regulation for your emotional responses. So you should have taken items and moved them into different zones. Some of these, I think you could argue, could go in a couple different zones, depending on how you feel that person would be behaving. So it's okay if you don't match mine exactly. What I do want everyone to do is, if you are done, click on that green check. If you still have some floating up here that you haven't sorted yet, click on that orange check to save it as a draft. Okay? So go ahead and make the choice of whether you're going to draft it or turn it in. And then continue to think about your zones of regulation and your emotional responses as you move on throughout the rest of your day. Try to actively think about those, because the more that we think about the way that our brain is structured and the way that our brain is working and how we respond, the more control we're going to have when we get into those powerful situations.